The International Institute of Tropical Agriculture has also successfully developed a genetic engineering platform for cassava varieties preferred by farmers, with higher yields, more starch, a longer shelf life, and disease resistance. While many African laboratories do not have the expertise for this type of advanced genetic engineering, the IITA is working with national and international partners to improve the capacity of government-run laboratories to establish cassava transformation platforms by training scientists, students, and technicians.
Let's say, for example, the scientists discovered that using a specific herbicide, this chemicals that control weeds, does an excellent job in cassava. So we will quickly inform the company that makes that herbicide that this herbicide is so good, they should promote it with the farmers. And so that with something like that, everyone wins, because the company that makes that product will be selling it and making profit. The farmers that purchase it will be applying that, and they will get to, in many cases, not even need to weed their cassava one time. So they save all of that labor cost, and usually the labor is women and children. And so now the women and children don't have to be out in the field doing all that hard work. They can be doing other constructive things to improve their lives. Government is also critically important. New technologies, the government needs to be very much aware of this and using their power to help promote those technologies through their organs. The agriculture development projects in the various states in Nigeria are very instrumental in moving these ideas, these technologies forward. And then we have farmer organizations, non-governmental organizations that are well organized. So these are the types of organizations we partner with. We share our knowledge with them. We can train their people, and then they are the ones who actually go and distribute these technologies to millions of farmers.
Cassava has been strictly associated with poverty as a crop capable of producing food in any circumstance. Consequently, cassava farmers will pull out of poverty provided they manage to increase cassava productivity. The world community has to undertake every possibility to give those farmers a chance to produce more of a better crop.
That is precisely why the Central Bank of Nigeria established NASA, to be able to provide guarantees to investors and financiers, banks and what have you, to be able for them to feel comfortable enough to put down the money behind any project along the value chain, whether it's upstream, midstream or downstream. Almost all actors along that value chain are eligible to access financing, but the banks, like you rightly said, require guarantees and comfort. So what happens is the NASA provides up to 75% guarantees for primary production where actual agriculture happens. For the other segments of the value chain like processing, transport and logistics, there are varying levels of guarantees we provide as well as interest drawback. So under the NASA model, the farmers in groups and cooperatives really don't need traditional collateralization. Our guarantees are sufficient for them to get those fundings from the banks.
Women and children are heavily involved in the production, processing and marketing of cassava. Experts are saying the attention should be weed control in cassava fields with chemicals and other means, improving efficacy of cassava processing in order to return children to school and provide women with more financial resources for better investment in education and health of their children.
Farmers need to have the good varieties on time when they are needed and where they are needed. That's one of the crucial points. Once they get the variety, it's not enough to have the varieties. You need to have the right input. There's a popular belief that you don't apply fertilizer to cassava. That's not true. Cassava is a crop, is a plant. Just like as human, the more you feed me, the bigger I get. The more you feed your cassava, the more it produces. It's simple as that. So we need to make sure that our farmers get those inputs at the right price that they can afford. But most importantly, we need somebody to offtake that cassava from their hand and give them the right price. You can't produce cassava and the market is offering you the price that is lower than your cost of production. Why should you do it? We're all in business. Cropping is not different.
A common belief is that among major issues affecting the poor productivity of cassava are the lack of development of crop management and the lack of markets for products made from cassava. These issues have been solved in countries where cassava has been industrialized, though not yet in Africa. Another common belief is that some of the cassava production in Africa will have to be industrialized to make an array of local products that will help support a sustainable seed system and extension services, in turn benefiting smallholders.
Smallholder farmers, subsistence farmers, for them, production, food security, making enough extra production that they can sell into the market, maybe into the local gari market, is going to be enough. Those farmers also could benefit from improved varieties, improved productivity, improved linkages to local markets. We're blessed in Nigeria that there are decentralized gari markets all across the country, so almost always you can find a place to sell your cassava. But now can new opportunities be opened up in terms of larger scale processing, mechanized gari production, the production of high quality cassava flour, starch, glucose. These are products that can be built from cassava roots. And I think we've seen in Nigeria now increasingly the creation of some of these larger enterprises that open new markets for smallholders. A lot of those larger processing operations, they'll have their own plantation and they'll grow their own cassava to feed their factories, but that usually is not enough to keep those factories busy. So they have to go out and look for outgrowers and smallholder farmers in their region and then make it interesting for them by paying them for their cassava so that it'll be delivered to their factories. And that can be a win-win situation for the smallholder farmer. Hey, now I've got another place that I can sell my cassava if I have extra production. And then for the people who own the factories, this gives them the turnover that they need to keep their factories busy so they can produce products that also will go to consumers and help them. High quality gari, high quality cassava flour, etc.
Current efforts consist in developing a strategy based on the vision of cassava making a major contribution to food security, increasing income generation potential through marketing of traditional and processed cassava products, driving rural development through industrial cassava production for food and industrial purposes.